1959 to 1972. These were years of turmoil in America. We were engaged in a war that few understood, a war that took thousands of lives, husbands, fathers, sons, young men. But amidst the horrors of war, great heroes arose. We're here in Holmdel, New Jersey at the Vietnam Memorial to learn about the story of one such hero, Father Vincent Capodanno. A native of Staten Island, New York, Father Vincent Capodanno was a U.S. Navy chaplain during the Vietnam War. In 1968, the U.S. government awarded him its highest honor, the Medal of Honor.
Vietnam was the first guerrilla warfare that the United States fought in. We actually had to go out into the jungle, clear huge openings, build these fire bases or forward support bases, and then ground troops could then go out and look for the enemy, because the enemy would snipe at you, would ambush you, and then they'd melt off into the jungle.
We had a lot of chaplains, Catholic priest, Protestant, no matter who, you know. But of course, my background, very religious Catholic family, you know, a Catholic priest would show up and like, how did he get out here? A lot of times they choppered him out, you know, but if we were not too far away, here they'd show up in a 1.5 deuce, a 3/4 ton truck or a Jeep, and he'd be surrounded by elephant grass, and he would use the front of the vehicle as an altar, you know? Amazing.
Father Vincent had already been on an extension, but he had a letter on the desk of the head of the Secretary of the Navy asking for a special dispensation, for want of a better word, to get another 6-month extension. And he was bantering back and forth with the powers that be to see if he could stay. He didn't want to go home. That wasn't in his plan.
Oh, Father Capodanno actually was with the Marine Corps. And in 1967, they met a group of North Vietnamese at about 2,500, and I think that they had 200 people or something like that. It was in those numbers. And in a very short amount of time, 36 were killed, and they had to bring up another company to take over this particular fight that they had. Amongst that melee, he went out and said last rites to a number of Marines. The last thing that happened to him was he was saying last rites to a Marine, and it was right next to a machine gun nest, and he unfortunately was killed.
Even these bushes here, and when they're bloom, they have little red berries on them for all the drops of blood that shed on the wall here. You know? Even the handicap walkways are in the shape of a double helix DNA, which means life.
There's an old cliche where people say, when was the last time you were in Vietnam? And my response, and a lot of Vietnam veterans' response, is last night.
Gregory Perillo, one of the foremost artists of the American West, was so inspired by the story of Father Capodanno that he painted a portrait of him in action.
First of all, Gregory Perillo is one of the foremost artists in the nation. His specialty for years was the Southwest, American Southwest. In looking at this painting here, you can see the emotion that Gregory Perillo put into the painting and the anguish that he put in.
I painted him because he's a deserving hero. He was a giver. He gave to the human race in a positive way. He gave them faith. He gave them confidence.
Father Capodanno walked in a room, and there could be 100 people in the room, and you knew Father Capodanno walked in the room. He had a charismatic personality, kind of reminiscent of John F. Kennedy or Ronald Reagan. You knew he was in the room. Well, I don't know if you know the fact that he received, I think, every medal but the Medal of Honor before he died. The Bronze Star, the Silver Star, I mean, bravery medals. And he had a box, a little box where he had these medals in. And they were kept in in a drawer in his sister's house in New Jersey. None of us ever knew when he got these medals. Nobody knew that.
You know, a medal honor recipient, I mean, the history, what they did to earn that medal is so like I say, mind-boggling.
He wanted to be where the need was, and that's how he saw it. He didn't see being a beginning and an end in it for himself. If there was a need, he had to be there. Felt strongly that God put him on a mission. I'm not sure if he would have cared whether he was a saint or not, and not in a negative way. He operated as a saint. You know, the nomenclature would have been saint, but not in his mind.
Well, from what he did, you know, his fellow human being was more important than his own life.
How would he want to be remembered? I don't know if he would want to be remembered. He was that humble. He may want to be remembered casually. He may want to have been remembered as a good son, fairly decent person. He may have wanted to be remembered as someone who would give example to people where you should put others above self, you know.